There he is. Hey, Vinny, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm in LA, so it's definitely morning.
Well, I asked you, because I don't like to impose on people, but I'm very grateful for my West Coast early risers or sober people.
Yeah, I'm up early.
Why are you up early? Is that just your nature?
I fall asleep at, when I'm home, 11 o'clock, watching Netflix, I fall asleep, and then I'm like up at 6:30. It's crazy.
What do you do? You doing stuff around the house? The wife got you busy? What's going on?
Yeah, I go online, I do my stuff, I do a show every Tuesday at 4 p.m. It's a drum stream, so I got to set up audio and sound check and all that stuff. It's a big day, because streaming, doing a sound check for streaming is quite different, because it's going out. So I got to do all these tests the whole day until I'm ready. So
Yeah, and also the drummer always has the biggest setup of anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting, man. So you're like, because this is my 100th episode of doing this show here at Compound Media, and you're in the webcasting business as well with your brother Carmine, and you're doing hanging and banging.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought this turned into like a whole big online thing? I'm actually coming up on my 1 year anniversary for the drum stream that I do every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And then on Thursday at 4 p.m., Carmine and I do a thing called Hanging and Banging with Ron Onesti from the Okada Theater in Chicago, outside of Chicago, St. Charles. So we just passed the 1 year anniversary of that. So it's like, who would have ever thought we were going to be doing these, these internet things, So it's cool because it kept me playing all the time. The thing I do, it kept me playing, and I do a lot of sessions in here, and so it's pretty cool that this happened.
Yeah, but Vin, it's funny, man. I see a lot of musicians, and particularly drummers, for whatever reason, that they said, they haven't picked up the sticks in almost the entire time. Like Jerry Gaskill from King's X, who's, one of the best, lives near me, and we've been good friends forever. And he said he hasn't, other than a couple times, he really hasn't picked up the sticks, but you've figured out a way to just keep going through all this.
Well, this is good because it makes me practice. Like on Monday, I'm over there. I got the drum pad over there. I got the kid over here. So I'm practicing. I can't be a schlep online. I mean, I'm known to be a busy player, let's say a little technique here and there. So I got to keep that up. So luckily I've been playing every week for the show and doing a lot of sessions too. And even a couple of lessons. I got a couple of students that I do via, Zoom or Skype or whatever. And so the whole thing kept me going. I'm like really in good shape. And then I played 2 gigs last weekend. A Sabbath thing. It's just called an evening of Sabbath music. I've done them all around the world. And I did it last week. That was the first gig in 15 months. And I thought I was going to have a problem with possibly, the muscles, the cramps, this and that. There was nothing. I kicked ass. I was happy about that.
Yeah, and I think I've talked to you about this before. I don't know if it was on that metal show or just somewhere you and I's talking, but you haven't really had a lot of the major shoulder and arm problems that a lot of drummers have had over the years. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, yeah. Just one time in 2000, what was it? 2000. The last Heaven and Hell tour, 2009.
Yeah.
I had a giant drum set with all the drums up in the air, and I was hitting like this. I was hitting behind. I was going crazy. It was one of the 21-piece drum set. Then when I came off the tour, I couldn't lift my right arm, so I had to get that fixed. I couldn't put the seatbelt on in the car. I couldn't put the radio on with that hand. So I had to get it surgery on that, and they did a great job because now, great. It's been 10 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
12 years. So.
Well,
other than that, I'm in good shape. Like you, Don.
Well, thanks. I'm trying, man.
You don't look 100 at all.
Yeah.
So.
I'm moving this week, so I do feel 100. But but
That's fun.
that's cool that, man, you've teamed up with obviously you and Carmine, who have had actually here in the studio with me. You guys have teamed up a lot over the years, but you've also done your separate things. Now the hanging and banging thing is sort of like this. It's just sort of a hang with musicians, talking about music and stuff like that. You're going on a year with that. Any favorite guests on that? Anybody, where can people see it?
Well, it's on, search Hanging and Banging. It's on StreamYard, I think it is.
I saw it on YouTube, so there's episodes there.
Yeah. I love just the stories, some of these stories that come out of the guests, like one was Corky Lang from Mountain. And he told everybody that when they went in the studio to record Mississippi Queen, they played so loud they couldn't hear him counting off. So they said, use the cowbell. So he went, boom, 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 da-da-da-da, and they went into the song. Then when they went to mix it, they were going to take the cowbell out. And Felix Pappalardi said, no, let's leave that in. And that became part of rock history.
Wow. Can you imagine that, Vin, without the cowbell? I mean, that'd be like, Don't Fear the Reaper without the cowbell. That'd be like we're an American band without the cowbell.
Yeah, and that song really is the start of the song with the cowbell,
Yeah.
And that was a cool story. So there's just been some great stories. And I sit there sometimes and get into the stories. I get to ask questions. Wow, this is cool.
Well, listen, Vin, with the career you've had and how many amazing stories that you can bring to the table, it must be fun for you to then just sit back and like take in other people's stories because you know yours.
I know mine. I tell the interviews that, as everybody knows, a lot of the same questions, So I've played with different bands. I played with John Lennon at one point in my career. And it's always the same kind of questions. So I do know my career,
Well, I'm going to try to ask you some. I'm going to try to ask you some different questions then. So.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
But let's first. That's okay. We'll talk about whatever comes up. I do have one thing that I'm not sure if you've ever been asked, but I did want to ask you because I don't want to gloss over it. Is this Resurrection Kings project? As I always say, we love Frontiers Records for supporting our scene and putting musicians together. This is the front cover of the new album. It's called Skygazer, and it comes out July 16th. And here's how you remember how to get it. July 17th is Record Store Day. So when you go for Record Store Day, you remember to pick up this album. But like most people, Vin, I've only heard the title track and seen the video. Big, epic tune, very much in line with, what you and your old bandmate, Craig Goldie, who's in the band with you from Dio, did. So how did this all come together?
Well, we did, this is the second album. It was basically a Frontiers project about 4 years ago. They put together, all of us together. Sean McNabb was on bass on the first one.
Okay.
And Craig and Alexandro wrote the songs, and then it was just kind of, send the file kind of thing. So it was a project. And then we did actually do some dates, Craig, Sean, and I, and Chaz West on vocal. And it was fun, but we didn't take it too far because, I was busy with my band, Last in Line. And so then this came up with, we're doing a second album. So we did it the same way. This is kind of an internet thing, an internet album, so-called, you can call it. So, we'll see what happens if there's some road ahead of us, some, going on the road and all that. But it's good. It's a good band, it's good songs. And I haven't seen the full video yet, so I got to check it out as well.
It's again, along with the theme of the song, it's very epic, and my understanding was that song in particular basically just came from a drum groove that you came up with, and like you said, it was a modern recording technique, right? You send a file somewhere, then that gets sent to somebody, and so on and so forth.
An interesting story, when I had to get the surgery on my right shoulder. Right before that, I did a whole bunch of drum grooves for Cleopatra Records while I could still play. And I must have had 20 different grooves and tempos. and then I got the surgery and I couldn't play. I was in a sling and all that stuff. That was fun. So I started working with Mark Zavon and Rex Brown, Rex from Pantera, and we just used those drum grooves and edited them and sent them back and forth, and that's how we wrote songs for an album called Kill Devil Hill.
Yep.
It was Rex and I, Mark Zavon, and Dewey Bragg on vocal. Real heavy album, really cool. And it was a really amazing thing because we started with the drums, and we just edited and put things together. Then we were able to get the demos done. I was able to play after about 6 months and took it in the studio. So yeah, it's a good way to do it. I heard Zeppelin did some stuff like that too. Bonzo played the groove and play along with it and see what happens.
Well, there's always, it seems, Vin, there's always a different method to everyone's madness, right? And now, obviously, You've been a recording musician for many decades. For you, if you, obviously you've adjusted to the modern age, but, given that is your choice, what's your favorite way to record? Are you old school in the sense that you want to be in the room, or are you cool with whatever, however it gets done?
Well, it depends what band. Like, I'm playing with Last in Line with Vivian Campbell and Phil Soussan, Andy Freeman. And we go in and rehearse and we go in the room and play together because we're a band.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would rather do it here because I punch myself in and I got a wireless keyboard. I run the system from there. And I'm able to get so detailed into some of the songs I record. If I don't like a fill, let's keep doing it until I get a fill in there. I used to be against punching in so many times, but, with the Dio and Sabbath, we played the whole song. We didn't punch anything in. We didn't even use a click, in the later years. So, but here I love doing this. It's really cool. I could experiment and I can get the best thing I could think of and create by doing it this way. And nobody, I'm not communicating to somebody through a glass window saying, hey, let me do that fill over the one before the chorus. So this is complete control.
Right. Well, I was going to say, it's also the other way, right? Vin, you also have somebody yelling at you from the other side of the glass, telling you, I don't like that take.
Do that.
Yeah. The Top 40 radio won't accept it if you put that drum fill in there. And although you've worked with many great producers over the years, but it must be kind of, at this point, I think you kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah, I got a hold on it now.
You kind of got a handle on it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing something with actually Mac, who produced Queen and some Zeppelin. His son Julian's got a cool, modern sounding, really cool band together, and I'm playing on that. And that was kind of different for me because they didn't want.
We have frozen Vinny right now. Vinny is frozen in time. Let's hope not as long as Walt Disney has been frozen. Hopefully Vinny will unfreeze. Vinny seems very up on technology. I wonder if he can hear me. Yeah, you're frozen, Vin. And hopefully we can... we'll get back online with Vinny in a second. But, he's out now.
I lost him.
Yep.
Hey, this is just like our show, Hanging and Banging.
It's a zooming world. It's not perfect,
Yeah, we need more bandwidth.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that project, I tailored it more to a modern kind of thing and not so many big rolls and cool rolls here and there that fit the song. Very, very tasty kind of stuff.
Oh, hey, listen, Vin, you've always been a tasty player, but I'm curious. So now you can get the producer out of your hair, you can get the other band members out of your hair, do your own thing. But is there ever points, even this far into your playing history, Vin, where you've called your brother for advice, or you just can't quite get the right feel on something or the right beat on something, or vice versa?
Never.
Carmine who?
Hey, the only time. Yeah, Carmine who? The only time I asked him for advice really was back in 1980, right before I joined Sabbath. I got a call from Sharon Osbourne, and she said, "We're going to put a band together together around Ozzy. Ozzy's in England, and we want to fly you to England. We heard about you, and hang out with Ozzy and see how it goes. So I went, oh, okay. So I was very young at that point and never been overseas. So I called Carmine. I said, hey, man, I got this offer to go play with Ozzy. Is he crazy, or what? Was he nuts? You know? So
Yes.
Carmine told me he was pretty crazy and he was pretty nuts. And so it made me think, well, I don't know if I'm going to do this. So I didn't do it. You know, I told her I was busy. I couldn't do it.
And then who got the
gig? A couple of years later, he's playing with him.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's why he told you Ozzy was crazy. He's like, you don't want to play with him. He wanted the job.
I don't ask him for advice.
No, don't stay away from that guy. He's nothing but trouble. Hey, so let's get into the Sabbath thing because, Vin, I'm going through my vinyl as I usually do. And, hey, listen, there's you never need an excuse to pull this one out, right?
Right.
Just obviously just a no matter what era of Sabbath you love, this is a classic. It's the Mob Rules album that Vinny plays on. However, your name, I just noticed after this is an original copy, by the way. This came out in 83, 81. I just noticed your name is misspelled on the back of this album. I think there's some reparations coming your way.
I got some gold records and things on the wall that's spelled that way too. Vinnie.
Disgracia.
But if you look at that album, I'm first listed. I don't know why.
That's
they put
true.
Me first.
Yeah.
Then on the next album, the band was starting to break up, and this has nothing to do with me. This was between Ronnie, Geezer, and Tony. Why the band was breaking up. And on the next album, which was Live Evil, there's only one picture of me versus 4 or 5 of everybody else. And then it says special guest in really small letters. Vinny, I think it's spelled correctly, Appice. So that's called music politics.
They listed you first here because that was their way of saying I'm sorry, I guess.
It's I don't know. I don't know who got the spelling on that one, but
hey, listen, you got to be happy that you've played on this. And while we have it up here, you want give a obviously we were talking about producers. You work with one of the greatest ever. May he rest in peace, Martin Birch. Give us a memory about making this great record.
Well, Martin worked with us in Los Angeles at the record plant, and he was just such a sweetheart. I never met him before, and then he came in, and we talked. We got along really well, and it was easy to get a really good drum sound with him. And he got all this low end on the drums, really killer sound. And he was just a sweetheart. He didn't get into the music so much, because it's Black Sabbath. He didn't arrange the music. I don't even remember if he did even one part, but he sure got all the sounds together and the mixes and the whole production that way. And he was just fantastic. He was great, Martin.
And then
Martin.
Yeah, then obviously you take a big chance and you leave with Ronnie and you go do Dio and man, it's when you mentioned before, Vin, about the last Heaven and Hell tour, which I was at in New York and 2009, and now it's 12 years or 2010, so 11 years since we lost Ronnie. We do have an event coming up that you and Carmine and many others are taking part in, but July 10th will be the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund benefit. It's all online this year, but again, Vinny, Carmine, Tony Iommi, who you might have heard of, is part of this. Guys from
that's the guy that spelled my name wrong.
Yeah, that's
that guy.
And then put you last on the live album, which that's a whole podcast, webcast in itself, is the Live Evil album. And also John Lennon, that whole thing. You were like 14 years old. We don't even have time to get into it today, Vin, but I'll have you back to talk about that stuff. But anyway, people, this is such a great thing because obviously Ronnie's legacy still lives strongly after all this time, and this charitable component to his ongoing legacy has been going strong now all these years. So if you want to be a part of this, go to rollinglivestudios.com. And it starts, it's on July 10th, starts at 2 o'clock Pacific time. People will be Zooming and Skyping and getting in
All that
virtually
stuff.
from all over the place and paying tribute to Ronnie. Obviously, you spent a lot of time, tremendous amount of time with Ronnie. Are you surprised at how strong the legacy lives on? Or is it just...
Yeah, I am. Because I go out and do these things. I did 25 shows in Europe with a really good band in Europe. And we played Dio stuff and the Mob Rules stuff and some of the old stuff of Sabbath. And people go crazy when they hear these songs. I just played on the weekend, past weekend, we're doing Holy Diver and Last in Line and Mob Rules, and everybody loves this stuff. I'm just surprised it's going on 40 years on these albums and it's still popular. And the songs I guess they're timeless, and it's fun to play, So, I wish Ronnie could experience this, to see how long this is going on.
Yeah, and
a long time.
No, Vin, you're right, and the fact that the legacy is still this strong makes it beyond mind-boggling why he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and for that matter, the whole Dio,
that one, yeah,
the whole Dio band,
yeah.
the whole Dio band as well. But again, that's a whole other podcast on its own. Now, see, maybe you can help settle this. Geezer Butler was on the Eddie Trunk show. You might have heard of Eddie Trunk. He does a radio show from time to time, and Geezer said on there that he claims that he was the one that showed Ronnie the devil horns before he started doing them. So obviously he got picked up by all these outlets and all that stuff. I guess the main question is, does it really matter?
It doesn't matter. The only story I heard was Ronnie used to say he got this from his grandmother.
The
which
Malloy.
was an Italian thing. Yeah. One way you put the horns on somebody, one way, which is kind of an evil thing, Right. I don't know which way it is. It seems like it would be that way. And then the other way, you're deflecting evil or something. So it's called a Malloy. And he always said that his grandmother showed him that. So... but I wasn't there in the beginning of when they were making the Heaven and Hell album. That was Bill Ward on drums.
Yep.
So that's when Ronnie started playing with Geezer. So I don't know what happened there. So it could be maybe a variation of that. I have no idea. But I remember Ronnie would tell me about that.
Yes. Well, listen, safe to say Ronnie made this a popular symbol in heavy metal. To this day, obviously, any rock or metal show, people are doing this all the time.
Did you ever see this one?
What? Oh, wait, what's that one?
Too much metal for one hand.
Right. Yeah, all right. Well, that could be a thing. When you get back on the road, you might want to start that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Too much metal right there. Just enough.
Crank it up.
Just enough metal. Too much metal. Well, man, you've produced. I was gonna say you've produced too much metal over the years, but for me, not even enough. Obviously, you're still going strong. The Resurrection thing, Resurrection Kings project comes out July 16th. It's a little early, but we'll remind people when we get to that week. Again, it's Record Store Day that week as well. So encourage people to go out and support all.
Where's there a record store?
Well, yeah, there's a few here in Jersey, New York area where I am, which is good. You can find they're still out there. So if this is on vinyl, go pick it up. Otherwise, then go out and pick up another copy of one of your other favorite albums that Vinny's played on. Obviously, he's got many. He's got 15 years with the Dio band, many years on and off with Black Sabbath, and all your Last in Line. We didn't even touch on Last in Line, which was a Dio tribute, which is now an original recording band, as you mentioned, with Vivian Campbell and Andrew Freeman, whose voice is, forget about it. So always lots of stuff. Can't squeeze it all in today, but we got to most of it. I hope I asked at least one question that you never heard of before, Vin.
Oh, yeah.
All right, maybe one.
Nobody ever brought up the album credits.
There you go.
Like
See that? Exposed
See?
right there. We give Iomi the Maloik right now for misspelling Vinny's name, but we love everything you do, man. And it's been too long since I've seen you, man. And again, thanks for being up early and hanging with me.
You too, and congratulations on the 100th show. Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Don, take care.
I'll
Thanks
see you
for
on
having
Hanging
me
and
on.
Banging in a couple weeks. Yeah, you got it.
All right, sounds good.
Bye-bye, Vin.